I'm Ling, and today we're going to be reupholstering this Poang. The last time I reupholstered something, I swore to myself that I would never do it again because it was such a struggle, but I think this Poang is going to be a little bit easier than the ottoman that I did. It's currently in this gray fabric that's actually in really good condition, but I just find that the gray is a little bit dull for my liking. I have this lighter brown faux leather that I think would look really good on here. I've been asked how I feel about working with faux leather, and honestly, I don't like it. I just feel like if I'm gonna spend hours or days handcrafting something, I want it to last beyond the 2 to 3 years that faux leather usually lasts before it starts cracking or peeling. But I feel like the one that I got is a higher quality, hopefully. Anyways, first thing we need to do is grab that roll of faux leather. The last time I tried to do this, it was wedged so deep in the back of one of my closets. It's also really heavy, so it's hard to take out, and I just gave up. But I have a new wave of motivation, so hopefully that's enough to get this roll out of the closet. All right, we're at the closet. Yeah, it's a complete mess. It's the worst closet I have. There's no organization whatsoever. Honestly, my mom would be aghast. Big ass bag of soil. If you're wondering why I have a bunch of broken chairs, it's because I'm a hoarder who likes to troll the free section of Craigslist and get these things that I'm like, ooh yeah, I'm gonna fix those up, and then I never do. Anyways, we've cleared a path. Here it is! Got it! I just finished lugging everything into my workspace and I'm pretty much ready to go, but I got struck with a pang of hunger, so I'm gonna take a break for lunch. I'm gonna be making this dark chocolate premium brownie mix because I'm an adult now and no one can tell me that I can't have brownies for lunch. I looked at the instructions and it's super easy. I think I can knock this out in like 5 minutes. If there's one thing I learned in high school chemistry, it's that you gotta read liquids at the meniscus. At eye level. I just put it in the oven. That literally took 5 minutes, but now I have to wait 40 to 45 minutes. Maybe I should make a real lunch. I think I'm actually gonna start with the ottoman first because it's just one piece of rectangle. If you're wondering what my plan of action is here, I have honestly no idea. I think I'm gonna start by seam ripping the Velcro and the zipper because I'm gonna reuse those. I think the brownies are done. Yum. Okay, let's give this brownie a try. Check out my beautifully mangled piece. Sorry. I think it's a bit too sweet. But now I'm stuck with the whole brownie. I just finished harvesting these guys, but I realized that this fabric has like a batting, and then all that's inside is this really simple piece of foam. I feel like if I take this out and then reupholster it only with that, it's gonna look like shit. So I think I'm gonna leave this on and then reupholster over it, and hopefully it doesn't look too bulky. In terms of pieces to cut, I think I can just get away with 3. It looks like they did 4 because they have this split, but I think they just did this to save material, and I think I have enough to not have to do that, so it's just the one piece that wraps along the front and back, and then these side skinny pieces. I just want to show you a close-up of the material that I'm using. You can see it's got these really tiny perforations. It kind of gives me like luxury car vibes, and I have quite a bit of it left on the roll. Definitely enough for a few more projects, so if you have any ideas or suggestions for things you want to see me make, please let me know in the comments down below. I really like reading everyone's comments. Especially now, I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to recognize a lot of familiar names, but I also really like seeing new faces as well. Honestly, like getting comments legitimately makes my day, so please leave them down below. I feel like I'm wrapping a present right now. The corners are kind of rounded, so I'm going to use this roll of tape to cut out some fillets. No, not these fillets. These fillets. I have all of my pieces cut out now, so I still don't really know what to do, but I think I'm just gonna sew everything together inside out and then flip it and then figure out the zipper business. We've got one side clipped in and I'm ready to sew it. I just finished sewing both of these sides on, and I'm not really super happy with it because these tight corners were really hard to do, but I'm gonna fit it over this cushion and see how it looks. I just set it down onto the wooden frame with the ugly bunched up side on the inside, so it's less likely to be noticed, and I'm going to match up the location of the Velcro. I'm getting really frustrated with this material because it doesn't adhere to my double-sided tape that usually works on everything. I blame that for why this turned out so crooked. I'm gonna try to use duct tape now to figure out the whole zipper deal. Okay, the duct tape doesn't work either, so I'm gonna have to use some goddamn pins. The zipper is mostly done, but the ends are still open, and I don't really know how to close it up with the machine, so I'm just gonna stitch it up by hand. Here's the end result of my hand stitching and not knowing what the heck to do, but I think it's gonna work. The cool thing about this fabric is that it already has holes, so I don't have to prick any of them in. But other than that, it's been a nightmare to work with. The last thing I need to do before I finish up is sew up this seam where the old zipper used to be. I'm just doing it by hand. I did a Frankenstein job on this, but it works. I just zipped off the zipper pull and it's like impossible to put back. Just spent 20 minutes slumped over it and I got it back on! I'm really glad that I did the ottoman first because it was such a good warm-up for the rest of the chair, which I'm about to dive into. I think it's gonna be pretty much the same thing, just more annoying because it's got more going on, but luckily this shape is actually pretty simple. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna take out all of the zippers and the Velcro and then I'll start measuring. I'm gonna capture this shape by tracing it onto this envelope. I got my bean shapes cut out and I am gonna stick them all together and sew it up. Pins are in. I don't like this bunching that's going on here, but I actually did a better job on this side. Ooh. I just redid it. It's definitely not perfect, but I'm gonna move on. So I'm working on this middle section right now. It's the biggest one. I have the front and the back cut out, and I'm trying to figure out what to do for this side piece. I was originally just gonna do a rectangle, but I realized that it has a very slight curve. So I just placed it on top of the material and traced it. This is how it looks. I got one side sewn on, and now I'm doing this like top part where the front meets the back. I don't know if this is right, but we're gonna see. Well, the good news is that this curve actually looks decent, but I messed up on this back sewing because I realized that I need this flap to actually stick out so I can connect it to the headrest. So I have to undo it and do it again. I feel like I should have done this back to front part before I did the side panel because this is really hard. Okay, we're back in business now after that super annoying mistake, but this is what I wanted. So this is gonna be the front, and then this is the back, and it has this flap so I can sew it to the headrest part. I got my headrest all zippered in, and it is ready to get attached onto the center body. It's hard for me to explain what I did because I don't really know what I did, but I sort of just pinned everything so that it looks all nice and tucked in the back. I'm gonna cut this middle piece off and then stick it in here and see how everything fits. It worked! Good morning! I am really excited to pick up where I left off. Yesterday I realized that I still have to put the Velcro onto this back panel, and I thought that I did it a little bit too late, but I realized that maybe it's not so bad because if I put that Velcro on before everything came together, it likely would have been misaligned. So I'm gonna hand stitch that onto the back. I'm also gonna clean up some of the edges in this seam between the headrest and the middle panel. I have to add a zipper to the middle panel and then do the whole bottom as well. So still quite a bit of work, but I think I can knock it all out in one day. I have to say that hand stitching down this Velcro has been my least favorite part so far because it's just really hard my double-sided tape isn't doing anything to anchor this down, so this is all sort of floating around. And I'm also sewing blind because I don't have visible access from the underside, so I'm always at risk of poking myself with the needle, and it just looks pretty bad in general, but I'm hoping that it at least does the job. I just removed the zipper from the old cover, but before I continue to sew this onto my new cover, I'm gonna dab both ends with some crazy glue because I just don't want this zipper pull to fly off either end like it did when I was doing the ottoman, because that was just a huge pain in the butt. I just finished hand stitching up the seam where the zipper used to be, and I'm really happy with it. I feel like this would be really good practice if I wanted to be a surgeon, because this is like basically suturing, right? Not to toot my own horn or anything, but look at how clean this zipper is. Just don't look too close because it's actually not that clean, but from afar it looks good. And I also put the Velcro on the back, which works. Nice. And I also cleaned this up a tiny bit. Definitely still looks like I did it myself, which I did. Now all I have to do is this bottom seat cushion that's gonna go here. It's actually very similar in size to the ottoman, and then I need to figure out a way to attach it here to the middle piece, and then I'm done. I just cut this huge piece out based on my ottoman measurements and put it against this bottom seat cushion, and I realized that it's 1 inch too narrow. I thought they were the same width, but they're not, so I guess what they say is true. Measure twice, cut once. Or else you'll be like me and you'll measure once and cut twice. I just finished the bottom cover, and honestly it was a lot more of a struggle than I anticipated. It was actually probably the hardest part, and it didn't even come out perfectly. I'm not super happy with it, but it's good enough. So now I'm just gonna take this flappy bit and sew it onto the middle, and then I'm done. So it's the end of day 2, and I'm actually pretty surprised that this only took 2 days. I usually tend to underestimate how long my projects take, but yeah, this one was a lot faster than I thought. I finally finished hand stitching on the back flap. It took so long and it was so painful. It was literally painful because I stabbed myself 3 times with the needle, and one of those times it went between my nail and my finger. It was just really hard to see what was going on because I didn't have access to one side, but I'm glad it's done now, and I think I did a pretty good job. Let me show you. I used the perforations to guide my stitching, so it turned out pretty even. It's time for the moment of truth to turn my Poang into a car seat. I worked up a sweat. But what do you guys think?